I wore her ring just to survive one night. I did not know that in her world, a ring on my finger meant I belonged to her forever. My name is Maya. I am not a brave woman. I am the kind of woman who says sorry even when it is not my fault. I am the kind of woman who looks down when people look at me too long. That night, I was just trying to get through one party without breaking down in front of everyone. Before that night, my life was small and quiet. I worked at a small design office in the city. I paid my rent on time. I made my own coffee every morning. I did not go to fancy parties. I did not know rich people. I did not know anything about danger, or guns, or men who run cities from the shadows. My biggest problem, before that gala, was simply trying to forget a man named Daniel. Daniel and I dated for almost 2 years. In the beginning, he was sweet. He brought me flowers. He remembered small things I said. But slowly, the sweetness turned into something else. He started telling me what to wear. He started telling me who I could talk to. He started showing up at places I did not invite him to, just to check on me, he said. Just because he loved me, he said. When I finally left him, he did not let go easily. He called late at night. He waited outside my office some days. He told me, again and again, that no one else would ever want someone like me. After months of this, I started to believe him a little. I started to think maybe I really was someone hard to love, someone too quiet, too plain, too easy to ignore. That night at the gala, I was only there because my best friend worked for the charity hosting it, and she begged me to come, just to stand beside her for one evening, just so she would not feel alone either. I almost said no. If I had said no, none of this would have happened. But I went. And somewhere between the soft music and the tall glass windows, my whole life changed direction without my permission. My ex was there. His name was Daniel. We broke up 4 months ago, but he still found ways to show up where I was. He liked to control me. He liked to make me small in front of other people. That night, he found me near the drink table, and he held my wrist too hard. "You look pathetic standing alone," he said. Just like always. I tried to pull my hand away. He did not let go. People were near us, but no one looked. Rich people at galas like this one do not like to see ugly things. They look away fast. My heart was beating so hard I could hear it in my ears. I needed an escape. I needed something, anything, to make him let go. That is when I saw the ring. It was sitting on a small velvet cushion near a glass case, part of some charity display for the night. A heavy black ring with a small red stone in the middle. I do not know why I did it. I do not know what made my hand move so fast, but before I could think, I picked it up and slid it onto my finger. "Let go of me," I said to Daniel, loud enough for people to turn now. "My husband is right there." I do not even know why I said that word. Husband. It just came out, like my mouth knew the lie would protect me faster than the truth ever could. Daniel laughed. "Your husband? You don't have a husband, Maya. You barely have friends." That is when everything changed. A woman walked toward us. She walked the way people walk when they own the room they are standing in. Black suit, sharp shoulders, dark hair pulled back tight. Her eyes were the kind of calm that made people quiet without her saying a word. She did not look at me first. She looked at Daniel's hand on my wrist. "Take your hand off her," she said. Her voice was low, but it cut through all the noise in the room like a knife through paper. Daniel let go so fast he almost stumbled. The woman stepped beside me, close, like she had stood beside me 100 times before. She took my hand gently, the one with the ring, and lifted it just a little so the red stone caught the light. "She is my wife," she said. "Touch her again, and you will answer to me." The whole room went silent. I mean truly silent. Glasses stopped clinking. Conversations stopped mid-sentence. Every single person near us turned to look. I did not understand who she was yet. I just understood that the air around her felt dangerous, like standing near a fire that is calm, but could burn the whole building down if it wanted to. Daniel's face went pale. He looked at her like he had seen a ghost. "Mrs. Rao," he said, voice shaking. "I did not know. I'm sorry. I did not realize she was. I'm so sorry." He almost ran away from us. Just like that. The same man who held my wrist like it was nothing now looked like he wanted to disappear into the floor. I stood there frozen. My hand was still inside hers. Her grip was firm but not painful. It was the opposite of how Daniel held me. Hers felt like protection. His felt like a trap. "Smile," she whispered to me, leaning close so only I could hear. "Everyone is still watching." I smiled. I do not even know how. My whole body was shaking inside, but my face obeyed her. She led me away from the crowd, still holding my hand, like we had rehearsed this walk 1,000 times. We stepped onto a private balcony attached to the ballroom. The night air hit my face, and I finally let out the breath I did not know I was holding. "Who are you?" I asked. She turned to face me fully for the first time. Up close, her eyes were dark brown, almost black, but they were not cold. They were sharp, careful, like she was reading every small movement on my face. "Ria Rao," she said. "And you just put on my mother's ring in front of 200 people and called yourself my wife." My stomach dropped. "I'm so sorry. I did not know it was real. I did not know it belonged to someone. I just needed him to stop touching me. I swear, I will give it back right now." "Don't," she said, voice firm. "What? Don't take it off yet." I looked down at my hand, at the ring sitting heavy on my finger, the red stone glowing faintly under the balcony lights. "People already saw," she said. "If you take it off now, in front of all these eyes, it will look strange. It will raise questions. Questions are dangerous for people like me. People like you?" She gave a small, tired smile. Not a happy smile, a smile that carried something heavy behind it. "You will find out soon enough," she said. "For tonight, just be my wife a little longer. 5 more minutes, then I will get you a car home and you can forget this ever happened." I agreed. What else could I do? My legs were still shaking from Daniel. My heart had not slowed down. I just wanted the night to end safely. She called me wife in front of 200 strangers. Now we were standing completely alone, just the two of us. No audience left to perform for. I kept waiting for her to laugh it off, to say something like, "That was just for show," or, "Don't worry, it meant nothing." But she never did. She did not correct it. Not once, not even when there was no one left around us to convince. I did not understand it then. I only felt a strange, quiet question settle into my chest, one I could not shake off for days afterward. She called me wife. But when we were alone, why didn't she correct it? But 5 minutes turned into something else. We walked back inside together, her hand resting lightly at my back, guiding me through the crowd like I was something precious she did not want bumped or jostled. People who had been whispering before now smiled at us, nodded at her with respect, almost fear. I noticed how careful everyone was around her. Waiters moved faster when she looked their way. Men in expensive suits lowered their voices when she passed. I did not understand yet. I just felt the strange safety of being near someone that powerful. Then a man approached us, older, with gray at his temples and a watch that probably cost more than my apartment. "Ria," he said, eyes flicking to me with curiosity. "I did not know you were married. This is new information." "It is new to everyone," she said simply. Her hand tightened slightly on my back, a quiet signal, like she was telling me to stay calm. "We kept it private." "And the wedding? When did this happen?" "That is our business, Antonio," she said, voice cool. "Not yours." He laughed, but it was a nervous laugh, the kind people give when they want to seem unbothered but are actually shaken. He walked away soon after. "Who was that?" I whispered. "Someone who works for a man who does not like me," she said. "And now he has something new to report to his boss." I felt a chill at that. I don't understand any of this. I know, she said. Just stay close to me a little longer. We stayed at the party for almost an hour after that. She introduced me to no one else directly, but she kept me close, her hand often finding mine, grounding me. Every time someone looked at me too long, she would lean slightly closer, like a wall placing itself between me and the world. When we finally left, a black car was already waiting outside, engine running, driver standing by the door like he had been told the exact second we would walk out. I can call a cab, I said. You don't have to drive me anywhere. It's not safe for you to go home alone tonight, she said. Why not? Daniel is gone. He won't bother me again after that. She looked at me for a long moment before answering. Because by tomorrow morning, half the city will know that Ria Rao has a wife, and some of those people will want to know everything about her. Where she lives, who she is, what she means to me. My mouth went dry. Wait, I know you're not actually my wife, she said gently. But the people who matter in my world do not care about actually. They care about what is said in public. And tonight, in public, I claimed you. I did not sleep that night in my own bed. I slept in a guest room in a penthouse that overlooked the entire city, in a building with security cameras at every corner, and men in dark suits standing quietly near the elevators. I lay awake for hours, staring at the ceiling, the ring still on my finger because she told me not to remove it yet, replaying her words in my head. I claimed you. The next morning, there were clothes waiting for me. Not random clothes. Clothes that fit me exactly, folded neatly on a chair in the guest room. Soft fabric, simple colors, nothing flashy but clearly expensive. There was also a small note. For now. We will get more later. Breakfast is ready when you are. I stared at the note for a long time. The handwriting was sharp, controlled, like everything else about her. When I walked into the kitchen, she was already there, sitting at the table, reading something on her phone, a cup of coffee untouched beside her. She looked different in the morning light, less like the cold woman who silenced a room, and more like someone tired, carrying something heavy on her shoulders that she did not show anyone. Sit, she said, without looking up. Eat something. I need to go home, I said. I have work, I have a life. I can't just stay here. She looked up then. Your ex knows where you live. He always knew where I lived. And last night, he learned that touching you means trouble with my name attached. Men like him do not handle embarrassment well. He may try something out of anger before he tries to stay away out of fear. I sat down slowly. You really think he would do something? I think it is safer to assume yes than to assume no, she said. Until I am certain he understands the warning, you stay here, with protection. Protection? She gestured toward the hallway, where a tall woman in a simple dark jacket stood near the door, calm, alert, hands folded in front of her. Her name is Sana, Ria said. She will go with you wherever you need to go. Work, home to collect things. Anywhere. This is too much, I said. I'm not your responsibility. Last night was an accident. I grabbed a ring, that's all this is. Something flickered across her face. Quick, almost hidden, but I caught it. It is not just a ring, she said quietly. What do you mean? She was silent for a moment, turning her coffee cup slowly on the table. That ring belonged to my mother, she finally said. She is not alive anymore. In my world, rings like that are not jewelry. They are promises. They carry weight. People who know what that ring looks like will assume things about you now that cannot be easily undone. She paused, looking out the window for a long moment before she spoke again. My mother wore that ring for 30 years, she said quietly. She built half of what I run today with her own hands, in a world that never wanted to give a woman power easily. People underestimated her every single day, and every single day she proved them wrong. When she died, my father gave me the ring and told me it would only belong on the hand of someone strong enough to survive next to me, or someone I trusted enough to protect with my own life. And now it's on my hand, I said softly, looking down at the small red stone. By accident. Maybe, she said. Or maybe my mother's ring knows something we don't know yet. I did not understand what she meant by that, not fully, not that morning, but something about the way she said it stayed with me for days afterward, a small seed of a question I could not stop turning over in my mind. Why was that ring so important? It was just metal and stone, just a small object I had grabbed in a moment of panic. And yet, every time someone in her world looked at it on my hand, their whole expression changed, like they were looking at something far bigger than jewelry. My chest tightened. I'm sorry. I really am. I did not know. I know you did not know, she said. That is not your fault. But it changes what happens next. What happens next? She looked at me directly, her dark eyes steady. For now, we let people believe what they already believe. It protects you from your ex, and it gives me time to figure out how to undo this without putting you in danger. I should have argued more. I should have insisted on going home immediately and pretending none of this happened. But something about the way she said it, careful, almost protective, made me stay quiet instead. I did not know yet how dangerous her world really was. I only knew that, for the first time in months, I did not feel scared walking out of a room. Days passed. I went back to my small apartment to collect clothes and things. Sana waiting outside the whole time like a silent shadow. At first, her constant presence made me nervous. I was not used to being watched, even for protection, but slowly I learned small things about her, the way she always checked the exits of a room before sitting down, the way she never touched her phone while on duty, the small scar near her jaw she never explained. One afternoon, while waiting for me outside a coffee shop, she finally spoke more than a few words at once. "You don't have to be afraid of me," she said quietly, noticing how stiff I always became around her. "I am not here to judge you or report on you. I am only here to make sure nothing happens to you." "I know," I said. "It's just strange having someone watch over me like this." "Rhea does not assign people lightly," Sana said. "She trusts very few. The fact that she chose me to guard you means something. The fact that she is fighting her own counsel for you means a great deal more." "What do you mean?" Sana studied me for a moment, like she was deciding how much to say. "I have worked for her family for 6 years," she finally said. "I have never seen her break a rule for anyone. Not once. Until you." I did not know what to say to that, so I simply nodded, carrying her words with me for the rest of the day, like something fragile I did not want to drop. I went to work that same week, and people there started whispering when stories from the gala began spreading online. A photo had been taken, somehow, of Rhea holding my hand on that balcony, the ring catching the camera flash. The caption under it called her the most feared woman in the city, and called me the mystery wife no one has heard of before. I read that caption 3 times before closing my phone. One afternoon that same week, Rhea insisted on taking me shopping herself, instead of leaving it to staff. I told her it was unnecessary, that the clothes already in my closet were fine, but she simply said, "Humor me." And that was the end of the argument. The store she took me to was quiet, private, the kind of place that closed its doors to everyone else the moment we walked in. I felt strange standing in front of mirrors while she sat on a small velvet chair nearby, watching carefully, offering small opinions only when I asked. "You don't have to do this," I said, holding up a simple blue dress. "I'm not used to people spending this much on me." "Get used to it," she said simply, though her voice was gentle, not commanding. "You are not just surviving anymore, Maya. You don't have to shrink yourself to take up less space." I did not know how to respond to that, so I simply tried the dress on. When I stepped out, she looked at me for a long moment, longer than necessary, something soft passing behind her sharp eyes. "That one," she said quietly. "We're getting that one." It was such a small moment, buying a dress in a quiet store, but it stayed with me longer than I expected. No one had ever looked at me like that before, like I was something worth pausing for, worth really seeing. I moved more of my things into the penthouse that week, though I told myself it was temporary. just until things calmed down. Just until Daniel stopped sending those small, angry messages that showed up on my phone late at night. Words trying to scare me. Words I no longer let myself answer. The penthouse had 2 bedrooms, technically. But one night, after a long day, with rain pouring outside the tall windows, Ria told me one of her enemies had men watching the building. "They are trying to figure out which room is yours," she said. "It is safer if there is only one room they need to think about." That night, I slept in her room for the first time, not because of anything romantic. Just 2 people sharing space because the world outside felt too dangerous to risk separating. She took the side of the bed near the door. I took the side near the window. There was a careful distance between us, a respectful space neither of us crossed. But somewhere around 2 in the morning, I woke up to find her sitting up, eyes open, staring at the rain outside. "You're not sleeping," I whispered. "I don't sleep much," she said. "Not anymore." "Why?" She was quiet for a long time before answering. "Because the moment I close my eyes for too long, someone in my world tries to take something from me. A territory, a contract, a life. That sounds exhausting." "It is," she said simply. I did not know what made me do it, but I reached over and gently touched her hand resting on the blanket. She looked down at our hands, then up at me, surprised, like no one had touched her gently in a very long time. "You can rest," I said. "I'm right here. I'll wake you up if something feels wrong." She did not say anything back. But she laid down again, slower this time, closer to me than before, and for the first time since I had known her, I watched her actually fall asleep. When I woke up the next morning, her arm had moved across me at some point in the night, resting lightly over my waist, her face peaceful in a way I had never seen it during the day. I stayed still for a long moment, not wanting to wake her, not wanting this strange small peace to end. When she finally stirred and realized how we were laying, she pulled back quickly, almost flustered, a small crack in her usually perfect composure. "Sorry," she said, clearing her throat, straightening her shirt. "That was not intentional." "It's okay," I said, trying not to smile too obviously. "I didn't mind." She paused at that, glancing at me carefully, like she was trying to decide if I meant it. "You didn't?" "No," I said honestly. It was the first night since the gala that I actually felt calm enough to sleep through till morning. Something shifted in her expression then, soft and unguarded for just a second, before she covered it again with her usual composed mask. She did not say anything else about it that morning, but that night, and many nights after, neither of us moved back to opposite sides of the bed. The space between us simply stopped existing, quietly, without either of us announcing it out loud. The softer side of her only showed when we were alone. In public, she was sharp, commanding, untouchable. Men twice her size lowered their eyes when she walked past. Even her own people, the ones who worked for her, spoke carefully, like one wrong word could end their place in her world. But behind closed doors, she was different. She would notice small things, like the fact that I always avoided spicy food, and quietly tell the kitchen staff to adjust meals without ever announcing it. She would notice when I was anxious before I said anything, and would simply sit closer, not speaking, just present, like her presence alone was meant to calm me. One evening she came home late, her knuckles slightly bruised, a small cut near her eyebrow. I grabbed a first aid kit without thinking, sat her down on the kitchen counter, and cleaned the cut with shaking hands. "You don't have to do this," she said, watching me carefully. "I want to," I said. "Tell me what happened." "A man tried to test how serious I was about protecting what's mine," she said. "He is no longer testing anyone." I paused, the cotton pad still pressed gently against her skin. "What's mine? Is that what I am now? A thing you protect?" She looked up at me, eyes softer than I had ever seen them. "You are not a thing," she said quietly. "You are the only person in years who has looked at me without fear in their eyes." My hands stilled completely. "I'm not scared of you." "I know," she said. "That terrifies me more than any enemy I have. There was another evening, quieter than that one, that stayed with me just as much. I had a hard day at work, small things piling up until I felt close to tears for no clear reason. When I got home, Rhea took one look at my face and did not ask a single question. She simply made 2 cups of tea, sat beside me on the couch, and put on an old silly movie neither of us actually watched. We sat there for almost 2 hours, her fingers slowly tracing patterns on the back of my hand, saying nothing at all, until the heaviness in my chest finally eased. "You don't have to fix everything for me," I told her quietly that night. "Sometimes you can just sit with me." "I know," she said. "I am learning that. It is not something my world ever taught me." I did not understand the full weight of those words yet. I only knew that something between us had shifted. Slowly, quietly, the way ice melts without anyone noticing, until the water is already moving. The troubles started again on a Thursday. By then, 3 months had passed since the gala. I had slowly stopped flinching every time my phone buzzed. I had slowly let myself believe that Daniel was a closed chapter, something I had survived and could finally forget. I was wrong. Daniel messaged me, not angry this time, but calm, calculated. The calmness scared me more than his anger ever had. He said he had information that could embarrass Rhea publicly. He said he knew things about her family, about the ring, about who I really was before that night. He wanted money to stay quiet. I read the message 3 times, my hands cold, my mind racing through every possible outcome. If I told Rhea, I knew what she would do. I had seen flashes of it already, the controlled fury behind her calm eyes whenever someone threatened what was hers. I was scared of what that fury could turn into. I was scared of giving her one more reason to be pulled deeper into danger because of me. So I made a foolish choice. I should have told Rhea immediately. Instead, scared, trying to protect the small peace I had finally found, I met him alone at a small cafe across town, the kind of place where nobody from Rhea's world would think to look. He smiled the moment he saw me, the kind of smile that used to make my stomach twist with dread. "You look good," he said. "Mafia money looks good on you." "What do you want, Daniel?" "I told you, money." Or I start talking about the real story behind that ring, about how Rhea Rao's whole family thinks her precious wife is a complete stranger off the street. "How do you even know about her family?" He smirked. "I have friends in interesting places now. People who do not like Rhea very much. People who would pay good money to know her weaknesses." My blood went cold. "She does not have weaknesses." "Everyone has a weakness," he said, leaning closer. "And right now, sweetheart, that weakness is sitting right in front of me." "You're wrong about her," I said, my voice shaking, but my words steady. "And you're wrong about me too. I am not scared of you anymore, Daniel." "You should be," he said, his smile fading into something darker, "because the people I'm talking to are not the kind of people who ask nicely. They want information. If you don't give it to me, they will find another way to get it, and trust me, their way will be much worse than mine." "Then I guess they will have to try," I said, standing up from the table, my legs shaking but my spine straight. "Because I am done being afraid of men who think scaring women is the only power they have left." I left without giving him anything, but the damage was already happening, quietly, in places I could not see yet. By the time I got back to the penthouse, Rhea already knew. "You met him alone," she said, voice flat, controlled in the way that scared me more than shouting ever could. "I was trying to protect you," I said. "You put yourself in danger to protect me." Her voice cracked slightly on the last word, just enough for me to hear the fear underneath the anger. "Do you understand what could have happened? Do you understand what people in my world do to leverage?" "I'm sorry," I whispered. I did not know what else to do. She closed her eyes for a long moment, breathing slowly, forcing calm back into her body. "Never do that again," she said. "Whatever problem comes near you, you bring it to me first. Always." "Okay," I said quietly. "I promise." She pulled me into her arms then, tighter than she ever had before, like she was making sure I was truly safe, truly there, truly unharmed. I cannot lose you, she whispered into my hair. Not after everything. I did not ask her what she meant by everything. I just held on to her, feeling her heartbeat slow down against my cheek, both of us standing quietly in the middle of a danger neither of us had fully named yet. A week later, she told me the council wanted to meet me. What council? I asked. The family council, she said. The people who oversee everything connected to my organization. They have heard about the ring. About the wife. They want to see for themselves who you are. Is that bad? She hesitated before answering, which told me everything I needed to know. It can go either way. The meeting happened in a large, quiet room with dark wood walls and a long table surrounded by serious faces, older men and women, sharp suits, sharper eyes. They studied me the moment I walked in, like I was a puzzle piece that did not fit the picture they expected. An older woman at the head of the table, who I later learned was Ria's aunt, spoke first. So this is the outsider, she said, voice cold. The one wearing Elena's ring. Her name is Maya, Ria said firmly. We know her name, the aunt said. What we do not know is why our family's most important symbol is sitting on the hand of someone with no connections, no history, no understanding of our world. She does not need history, Ria said. She needs nothing from this family except respect. A man near the end of the table laughed, sharp and unkind. Respect? Ria, an outsider wife is not respect. It is a weakness. Anyone could use her against you. Already someone tried. My stomach turned, realizing they already knew about Daniel. That problem has been handled, Ria said, voice steady despite the tension rising in the room. This time, the aunt said. What about next time? You cannot watch her every second. You cannot protect a soft, ordinary woman from a world built on blood and power. She will get you killed, Rhea. Or worse, she will get herself killed because of you. This is exactly the problem, the man near the end of the table added, leaning forward with cold gray eyes fixed on Rhea. You have spent 15 years building walls so high that no one could ever reach you. Now, in a matter of weeks, you have handed your enemies a door straight to your heart. You did not even choose her carefully. You did not check her family, her history, her loyalties. She fell into your life through pure accident, and you are ready to risk everything for that accident. I am not risking everything, Ria said. I am choosing something for myself, for the first time since I took over this family. Every decision I have made for 15 years has been for this family, for this business, for all of you sitting at this table. I am allowed one thing in my life that belongs only to me. Love is not allowed in our world, the aunt said sharply. Love gets people killed. Then I will be careful, Ria said, voice low and final. But I will not give her up. Not for this table. Not for any of you. A heavy silence followed her words. I watched the council members exchange glances, some angry, some thoughtful, none of them fully convinced. A part of me wanted to speak up sooner, but I waited, watching her fight a battle that should not have been hers to fight alone. The room went silent after that. I felt every eye turn toward me, waiting to see if I would shrink, if I would prove them right. I never asked to be part of this world, I said quietly, surprising even myself with how steady my voice came out. I put on a ring because I was scared and desperate, but since that night, the only person who has made me feel safe in any world is the woman standing beside me. If that makes me a weakness in your eyes, I cannot change that, but I will not pretend I regret meeting her. The aunt studied me for a long moment, something unreadable passing behind her eyes. Pretty words, she finally said. We will see if they hold up under pressure. The meeting ended with no clear decision, only a heavy tension that followed us out of the room. That night, Ria sat across from me in the quiet of our bedroom, exhaustion written across her face. I have enemies who would hurt you simply to hurt me. Are you asking me to leave? I asked, my voice smaller than I wanted it to be. She looked up sharply. No, she said, almost too fast. Never. I am asking myself if I have the right to keep you here, knowing what it could cost you. That is my choice to make, I said. Not just yours. She reached across the small space between us and took my hand gently. Then choose carefully, Maya, because once my enemies understand how much you mean to me, they will not hesitate to use that against both of us. I did not know yet how soon those words would come true. The attack came 2 weeks later. I was leaving work, Sana walking a few steps behind me as always, when a car pulled up too fast, too close. Men stepped out, quick, practiced, the kind of movement that told me immediately this was not random. I do not remember every detail clearly. I remember Sana shouting my name, pulling me back hard enough to stumble. I remember the sharp sound of something hitting metal, a scream that may have been mine, the chaos of people running. I remember being pulled into a different car, Sana's voice tight with fear, as she spoke into a phone, saying words I barely understood through the ringing in my ears. By the time we reached the penthouse, my hands were shaking so badly I could not hold a cup of water. Ria arrived minutes later, and the moment she saw me, something in her face broke completely open, fear and fury mixing together in a way I had never seen before. "Are you hurt?" she asked, hands moving over my arms, my face, checking for injuries with a desperation that made my throat tight. "I'm okay," I whispered. Sana got me out in time. She turned to Sana then, voice sharp with barely controlled rage. "Who?" "Lorenzo's men," Sana said. "They wanted her alive. Leverage, not harm." Rhea's jaw tightened so hard I heard it click. "He dared touch what is mine." "Rhea," I said softly, trying to pull her attention back to me, away from the fury building behind her eyes. "I'm okay. Look at me." "I'm okay." She turned back to me, breathing hard, and pulled me into her arms so tightly I almost lost my breath. "I should have kept you further away from all of this," she said into my hair, voice breaking slightly. "I should have protected you better." "You did protect me," I said. "Sana did. You both did." "It is not enough," she whispered. "It will never be enough until every person who thinks they can touch you is gone." She did not let go of me for a long time after that. We sat together on the floor of the living room, my back against the couch, her arms still wrapped around me, both of us breathing slowly, trying to find calm in the silence of the apartment. Sana stood quietly near the door, giving us space, her eyes still scanning the hallway out of habit. "I keep thinking about what would have happened if Sana was even 1 second slower," Ria said quietly, her voice almost a whisper now, all the sharp edges gone from it. "I keep thinking about it and I cannot stop." "But she wasn't slower," I said, turning slightly to look at her. "I'm here. I'm safe. You don't have to keep imagining the worst version of today." "It is my job to imagine the worst version of every day," she said. "It is the only way I have survived this long." I reached up and gently touched her face, tracing the tired lines near her eyes that she usually hid so well behind her calm expression. "Then let me imagine the good version sometimes," I said softly. "Let me be the one who believes things will be okay, so you don't have to carry that weight alone." She closed her eyes for a moment, leaning into my touch like it was the only soft thing in a day full of sharp edges. "I don't know how to let someone do that for me," she admitted quietly. "I have spent my whole life being the one who protects, who carries, who decides. No one has ever offered to carry anything for me." "I'm offering now," I said. "Let me try." She did not answer with words. She simply pulled me closer, resting her forehead against mine, and for several long minutes, neither of us said anything at all. We just stayed there, on the floor, breathing together, two women who had somehow found safety in each other, in the middle of a world built on danger. Lying there against her, I found myself thinking about the conversation in the council room days earlier, the cold faces, the warnings, the way they had called me a weakness instead of a person. If I was really nothing more than a temporary fake wife, an accident, a problem to be managed, none of this would make sense. If I was fake, why did she choose to go against her own family for my safety? Why did she sit on this floor with me, instead of locking herself away to plan revenge alone, the way I imagined someone in her position usually would? I did not have an answer yet, but I was starting to believe, slowly, carefully, that the answer might be bigger than either of us had said out loud. That night, something shifted in her. The careful balance she had been trying to keep between her world and mine snapped completely. The next morning, she called another council meeting, but this time, her voice carried no room for argument. They tried to take her, she told the council, standing at the head of the table herself, instead of sitting quietly as before. Lorenzo's men tried to use her against me. This ends now. And if it ends in war? Her aunt asked carefully. Then it ends in war, Ria said, voice ice cold. I built this empire with my own hands. I will burn pieces of it down before I let anyone use the people I love as weapons against me. The room fell silent at the word love. I felt my own breath catch in my throat, standing quietly near the back of the room where she had insisted I stay for safety. She is not just an outsider wife, Ria continued, looking directly at the council now. She is the only thing in this entire world I have ever chosen completely for myself, without strategy, without politics, without anyone's permission. If that makes me weak in your eyes, then I will be weak gladly, every single day, for the rest of my life. No one argued after that. The next weeks were tense, filled with quiet meetings, careful movements, and protection measures that made my small apartment life feel like a distant memory. Ria dismantled pieces of Lorenzo's operation methodically, never violent without reason, always careful, always controlled, but absolutely unstoppable once she decided someone had crossed a line that could not be uncrossed. I watched her become someone the whole city feared even more, and yet, every single night, behind closed doors, she remained the same woman who gently checked if I had eaten, who quietly placed a blanket over my shoulders when I fell asleep on the couch reading, who held my hand under the table during stressful meetings as a silent reminder that I was not alone. Daniel disappeared from my life completely after that. I never learned exactly what happened to make him stop sending messages, stop showing up uninvited, stop existing as a threat in my world. I did not ask. Some questions, I learned, were better left unanswered. There was one more night, though, before everything finally settled into peace, a night that mattered more than almost any other. It happened at another gala, almost a mirror of the one where this all began. Except this time, I walked in beside Ria, not running from anyone, not hiding in a corner. The same kind of people filled the same kind of room. Men in sharp suits, women in expensive dresses, all of them watching us the moment we walked through the doors. Antonio was there again, the same man who had once questioned Ria about her sudden marriage. This time he was not alone. He stood near a small group of people I recognized from whispered conversations as allies of Lorenzo, the same enemy who had tried to take me weeks before. They watched us with calculating eyes, waiting to see if the cracks the council had warned about were finally showing. Ria, Antonio said, raising his glass slightly, a thin smile on his face. Still keeping up the marriage story, I see. Even after everything that happened with your council. Brave of you. Or perhaps foolish. The room around us grew quieter, people pretending not to listen while listening closely. Ria did not raise her voice. She did not need to. It is not a story, Antonio, she said, calm and clear enough for everyone nearby to hear. She is my wife. She was my wife the night I said it in this very room months ago, and she is my wife now, fully, completely, by my own choice and hers. Anyone still confused about that can ask me directly, and I will be happy to explain it as many times as necessary. She turned to me then, in front of all of them, and lifted my hand gently, the same way she had that very first night, except this time there was no panic in my eyes, no confusion, only certainty. I have built an empire most people in this city fear to even look at directly, she continued, her voice carrying across the silent room. I have made enemies, broken alliances, and survived things most of you cannot imagine surviving. And out of everything I have built, the only thing I have ever chosen purely for myself, with no strategy behind it, is the woman standing beside me. If that makes me weak in anyone's eyes, then let it. I would rather be weak and whole than powerful and empty. No one in that room said another word. Antonio lowered his glass slowly, his smile gone completely, and within a few minutes, he and his companions quietly left the gala altogether. Later that night, walking back to the car, I finally found my voice again. "You didn't have to say all of that in front of everyone," I said softly. "Yes, I did," she said, glancing at me with something warm and certain in her eyes. They needed to hear it directly from me, once and for all, so there would be no more whispers, no more doubts, no more attempts to use you as a weak point in my world. "And the council? Won't this make things harder with them?" "Maybe," she said. "But some things matter more than easy." One evening, months after that first chaotic night at the gala, Ria found me sitting by the window, turning the ring slowly on my finger, watching the red stone catch the evening light. "I think it's time I gave this back properly," I said quietly. "Not because I want to. Because it belongs to your mother, to your family, not to someone who only put it on by accident." I slipped the ring off slowly, holding it out toward her in my open palm. She did not take it. Instead, she wrapped her hand gently around mine, closing my fingers back over the ring, keeping it inside my palm. "You wore it to survive," she said softly, her eyes steady on mine, carrying none of the coldness the world saw, only the warmth she had only ever shown me. "Now I am asking you to wear it, because you are mine, not because of accident, not because of fear, because I choose you, completely, in front of anyone who dares to question it." My eyes filled with tears I did not try to hide. "Ria, I am not asking you to be my fake wife anymore," she continued, voice steady despite the emotion clearly building behind it. "I am asking you to actually be my wife, for real. No lies, no accidents, no public acts. Just you and me, choosing each other on purpose." I looked down at the ring still resting in my palm, then up at the woman who had once silenced an entire room with a single sentence, who had once terrified me simply by existing, and who now stood in front of me with more vulnerability in her eyes than I had ever seen from anyone in my life. "Yes," I said softly. "I choose you too. For real." She slid the ring back onto my finger herself this time, slowly, deliberately, like she was making a promise with every careful movement. Outside the window, the city lights spread out beneath us, full of people who feared her, people who respected her, people who would never understand the woman who held my hand so gently in the quiet of our own home. I once thought I wore that ring to escape one dangerous man for 5 minutes. I never imagined it would lead me into the arms of a woman who would burn her entire world down, just to keep me safe in it. Some accidents, I have learned, are not really accidents at all. Sometimes, they are simply the universe finding a strange, complicated way to bring two people exactly where they were always meant to be. And as Ria pulled me close that night, the city quiet beneath us, the danger finally settled, I realized something I never expected to feel after everything that happened. For the first time in my life, wearing someone else's ring did not feel like a lie. It felt like home.